Hi there, this is Doug Rogers with Remax Coastal Properties here in beautiful Destin, Florida. And what I want to do is take a few moments and go over my concrete plan of action that I use to help my sellers achieve their financial goals. And so, you want to get beyond well, Doug, what are you going to do to sell my house? Well, I'm going to put a sign in the ground and I'm going to pray really hard to get hope the right buyer comes along. In a transitioning market like we're in, unfortunately, that doesn't cut it anymore. So we're going to break this up into two big categories so it's not just overwhelming. And rest assured, if you do decide to list with me, you're going to get this in writing, and we'll go over it at the actual listing presentation, either in person or over Zoom. And so you will know what I'm going to do. And then I ask that you hold me accountable with this as we go along through the listing process. Doug, you said you were going to do this. What were the results? And so, this is a team effort here. But the first category are passive things we do. And it sounds odd. Well, why are you starting with the passive? It's important. So under the passive family, what we're going to do here is make sure we do professional photos. Again, this is something every agent should be doing regardless of the market, professional photos. With the rise of the internet and social media in particular, this becomes your first showing. The photos are so good, the details are so rich, then there's just really no excuse for someone taking an iPhone or an Android and snapping 13 pictures and calling it a day. So we take professional photos, and then we spend some time writing a thoughtful MLS description. I mean, you can see when people try to use chat GP, whatever you call that mess, where it's automated, it's just like one big block of text. No one has time to read that. So we actually put some time into developing some thoughtful comments, not too much, not too little, just enough to get people excited enough to click that, call me to schedule a tour button there to hopefully get you a showing. So we have great photos, a well put together presence on the MLS, and still under the passive heading, social media. Okay, so I keep around 4,300 to 4,500 Facebook friends somewhere. Hey, if they would just each send me $1 for my birthday, I'd be doing all right. But I do have a wide net, and we do organic, where we get people to share it without paying them to do that. Facebook and social media loves organic shares, so we spend some time on that. And then we also do some paid marketing in the zip codes where the buyers actually are. So if you're in Destin, Florida, the person buying your house, they're probably not even in Florida. So we have to find out where we are. We've identified those places. Minneapolis, believe it or not. So Wisconsin, there's a lot of people that buy on the Emerald Coast here for a second home or investment property. So we have to target those areas. If we were to target our advertising here in Destin, 32541, they're not looking for condos here. They already live in the area. So we want to get where those buyers are. And then finally, under the passive category, we do some internet syndication. And again, when you put it on the MLS, it's going to go to all the websites, but we have other places we put it to where once it does syndicate, the pictures are optimized for everyone's on Zillow and Realtor.com to make it look as good as possible there. So look, if you're learning something from this, please take a moment, click that like button, and more important, subscribe so you can get some more informative videos heading your way. If you ever need anything from me, being on my subscriber list is a great way to just quickly reach out. So I definitely appreciate a quick like and subscribe there if you will. Now let's move on to what I call active marketing. So the passive is stuff that really most agents should do, and some not as successful as others. But let's talk about the active stuff, what sets us apart. The first thing I do, I ask the seller a bunch of questions. So when I come out to meet with you, I'm going to be asking more questions than you are, more than likely. If you ask me something, I'll certainly, give you a good answer there. But what's more important are your answers, because this is all about you. And so I'll ask you something as profound as, look, when you bought this home, there were 13 other condos in the building available for sale. Why did you pick this one? Because guess what? What led you to this condo may lead our next buyer to it. So I want to make sure that our marketing reflects what brought you to this particular unit, because that's how we get another person in there. So I'm going to ask questions. And secondly, once the listing is signed, our pictures are about to go up, I call, if it's a condo building, I call the building. I call the owners in the building. We have a way to access those numbers that's legal, And so we call. We don't text. We actually call, like human to human, belly to belly. We call, and we just tell them about the unit. One thing that won't surprise you if you've been on the HOA boards, a lot of these owners, they'll own 2, 3, 4 units in the same building. So I've had it happen more than once where I call and tell Mrs. Smith about our new listing and she buys it. So, why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you take the time for your sellers to make those simple calls? I live in Sandpiper Cove, and I was talking to one of my neighbors. There was a moving truck out front, and my name wasn't on the sign. There was no sign. And so we got to talking, and she said, hey, Doug, moving back to Louisiana. So, that's great. I wish you would have used me. I didn't really say that, but I was thinking it. And, I said, I sold your neighbor's condo. She goes, oh, thank you for that. That's how I figured out my price. And so she was able to sell the unit to another owner in the condominium association without even having to list. So, of course, I was, happy she was able to move in and make her money. But that just reinforced to me the importance of taking that time and talking to those neighbors, letting, not pressuring them, but just letting them know what's available. And, maybe we can put a deal together. Okay. And then another thing I do is I spend some time going over your condo with other agents in my office. We are in a vacation market here in Destin, and if you're practicing real estate in Kansas City or Denver or someplace like that, maybe you don't get a lot of walk-ins. We're right here on the harbor, so to get to the good restaurants, you have to go right by the RE/MAX sign here. We get walk-ins, and so if I'm not available, if I'm out showing a property or meeting with a seller, and the agent's on call, doesn't it make sense that they know everything about your house or your condo? And so I'll take some time and invest it, and we'll actually ride over to your condo if it's in the off season, and I'll give them a tour. And that way, when that buyer walks in, unrepresented buyer, they can say, hey, look, that unit over here at the resorts at Pelican Beach, unit 1903, here's why it's better than the other 12 that are on the market. Let's go look at it, And so that way we provide you excellent customer service. Along those lines, I'll also reach out to some top agents in the area that kind of focus on whatever you have. So, we service everyone, but we're just kind of drawn. I'm drawn more to the vacation condo side of it. And so there's people that prefer 30A. And so what I do is I'll reach out to the agents I know that services those markets and say, hey, man, let's meet over here. Let's look at 1903. I'll bring you a cappuccino, coffee, or something like that. Let's take a look at it. And, I do that for them too, because it's market knowledge. The more I know about, and it doesn't need to be one of my listings, the more I know about other homes that are listed, the better I can serve you guys. And so we spend some time reaching out to those top agents. And can you believe it, in a digital world where people don't even show up to the office, a phone call or a 10-minute walk through in a building is what actually gets people to the closing table. Kind of interesting, isn't it? And then as we go along in the listing process, I work with a lot of people that they had a listing agreement with another brokerage and it expired, or they terminated for whatever reason, and there's a million reasons. But the universal theme I hear from people is that former agent or broker, they did not keep them updated. The worst thing in the world is not your condo selling. The worst thing is it not selling and you not know why. Okay, so you're sitting there going on Google, why is my house not selling? You're paying someone 5, 6, 7% to sell it, and we can't keep you updated? Sorry, need to get off my soapbox here. It's too cold to be on the soapbox today. But so what I do, a seller can call, text, reply to a comment anytime. I work for you. But every Friday we have a date. Every Friday afternoon, I will call again, not text or Facebook message or anything like that, but I will call and I will say, Mr. Bob, here's what I told you we were going to do this week. Here's the results of that activity, and here's any feedback we're getting. So and you might even cringe after a while. Oh, I don't want to talk to Doug today. Let it go to voicemail. I'll leave you a 63-second voicemail, but you're going to be updated when you work with me. And then along those lines, just general market knowledge. Every Tuesday, I'll send out something, and it typically is like a text video, because it's generic. It goes to everyone that I'm working with at the moment, and it goes over general market conditions. So if you have a condo at the Terrace over here, this is going to talk about how many homes in general sold along the Emerald Coast in the last 7 days. So it does pertain to you. It'll show you trends. I'll talk about what the interest rates are doing and all that good stuff. So every Friday, you get something specific to your unit. Every Tuesday, a few days later, you learn more about the market in general. And then obviously you can contact me anytime. So my clients, they are some of the most educated ones here on the coast. And then every 30 days, if the house or condo is not selling, I do a fresh comparative market analysis, CMA, and I send it to you. We just go over it. It might not mean it's time for a price improvement, but it could be. And we look at the units that have went under contract in the 30 days, and I'll even call the agents and say, hey, how'd you find a buyer at that price? And I have no pride. I have no ego. The only thing I want to do is help you get your needs met so we can get to a closing check table. I can get a check. That's nice. But more importantly, I make a client for life. Okay? And so that's where my money really comes into play, is you referring me business over the next 20 years. And then this one's hard because it's hard to quantify and it depends on other people. But I like to get direct feedback from the agent every time they show the property. And so, it's important to find out what that particular buyer thought, yes. But also, almost as important, the people showing the property, they tend to be more, buyer type agents. They work with more buyers. They know. They're once I remember being a buyer's agent myself. Once I showed a property, I may ended up selling it 2, 3, 4 weeks later to a totally different buyer. Why? Because I'd actually been in the house and I knew about it. So I want to find out what their buyer thought. Are they bringing an offer? If so, what's kind of their timeline? But more importantly, I want to know what that agent thinks. Hey, you said you were looking at 7 condos last Saturday, and mine was one of them. What do the other 6 look like? If you were to rank them in your head, no ego involved, where would mine fall? If it's 1 or 2, that's great. We're the shiny penny. If it's 4, 5, 6, 7, that's bad. But my goodness, isn't that great information to have so we can act on it? So again, there's a passive school here that we do, and then there's an active approach over here. They're both important. When you're hiring an agent here along the Emerald Coast, pick one, that merges and does both would be my recommendation to you. Again, my name is Doug Rogers, RE/MAX Coastal Properties. If you need anything, reach out and make it a great day.